Honourable members of the EFF at the back, order!
In an unprecedented move, the finance minister's budget speech was cancelled at the last minute after a cabinet meeting. It emerged that political parties in the government of national unity couldn't reach agreement on a proposed 2% hike in value-added tax. Some political parties agreed that a VAT hike to 17% would have a devastating impact on South Africans. In a media briefing following the postponement, Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana was at pains to explain that balance was needed to ensure fiscal sustainability. The Treasury looked at all alternatives, and to avoid further debt, it believed hiking taxes was the best option to raise much-needed revenue.
What we're grappling with is not necessarily the 2% per se. What we're grappling with, given the challenges and priorities that we're facing, how do we fund them? Really, that's the debate. Do we borrow more? What are the implications of that? Do we continue cutting expenditure? What are the implications of that? Do we raise tax? What are the implications of that? There's general agreement that in the current environment, we need to find a way of funding our priorities.
Debt to GDP is sitting at 76%. Government spends billions of dollars servicing this debt. South Africa's expenditure is still exceeding its budget, with the deficit now at 5%. It is expected to decline next year, but borrowing to make up the shortfall has pushed up debt levels. The proposed 2% VAT hike would have added around $3 billion to revenues. We are certainly in uncharted territory. Postponing the budget has never happened before. As the finance minister said earlier, there are lessons to be learned here, especially in discussions with other political parties. This would have been the first budget tabled under the government of national unity. The finance minister said a new or amended budget will be tabled on the 12th of March. Sumitra Naidu, CGTN, Cape Town.
Now, to say that this has been a fairly dramatic day in South Africa's fiscal affairs would be a bit of an understatement. Let's bring in Sumitra Naidu to help us understand exactly what happened here. So, Sumitra, we'll get to the VAT row in a moment. But other than that, are there any other key policy issues that the two big parties in this 10-party coalition, the ANC and the DA, there are other things they disagreed on in the budget?
Well, you know, when asked this question in the media briefing, the finance minister suggested that the VAT increase wasn't the only issue, but he didn't go into any detail. He didn't say what those other issues related to. But from what happened today and hearing from political parties and some of the unions, the real thorn is actually that 2% VAT hike. Rama?
Right. And so the DA's leader said that, raising the VAT rate by 200 basis points, in his words here, would have broken the back of our economy. What data did he bring to the table to support that line of argument? Or as the kids say these days, what receipts did he bring to the table?
Well, the DA believes that all you need to do is look around you to understand the real impact of raising VAT. For years, they've been complaining about the cost of living crisis in South Africa and have called on government to take measures that will alleviate these problems. It has also called for reforms to fuel levies and for the Treasury to widen the zero-rated VAT basket. That will lower transport costs and better nutrition. Food inflation, although it's come off its highs, is still leaving South Africans out of pocket. Studies have revealed that the majority of household income is spent on food. Now, the cost of utilities have increased significantly in recent years. Just looking at electricity, Eskom was recently given the go-ahead to raise tariffs by 12.7%. Now, if you add VAT of 17% on top of that, I mean, utilities have been going up for years now. The increases are just not, people just can't cope with them.
Indeed. And for the record, we've been talking about double-digit tariff increases for about as long as I've been working here. One last question for you, Sumitra. The rand did fall by around 0.9% against the dollar after news of this budget postponement. What concerns are you hearing about this budget and, more importantly, the GNU's ability to actually get things done from domestic and foreign investors?
So today's budget was actually cancelled because of the government of national unity. Cabinet has to approve the budget before it's published. Now, for the first time, you have other political parties in cabinet, and these parties are objecting. There's been mixed reactions so far, some optimism around the might of this GNU, some seeing it as a halt to the ANC, pushing ahead with its own agenda. And there are some looking a little bit more concerned about the health of the South African economy. This economy has been staggering for years now. The Treasury is expecting growth to pick up to 1.9% this year, but that still is a very far way off from what we need to address the high unemployment rate in the country, rising poverty levels, and fiscal stability. We are still in junk status. If you borrow more, South Africa is priced for high risk. It will come at a much higher loan rate. Debt levels are already high, and a big chunk of government spending goes to servicing this debt. Government essentially is in a debt trap and is now looking for a way out, looking at options like cutting spending and raising taxes. Today's fiasco also doesn't look good for the GNU itself, as this will no doubt cause more tension amongst the parties in that GNU. So, some economists already raising concern that this will cause massive backlash from both domestic and international investors. Rama?